If you've ever dealt with a high conflict person, you already know the moment I'm talking about. It rarely happens during some dramatic showdown. It happens in the quiet places. In the kitchen, when the house is calm. In the car, when you think it's finally safe. Or late at night, through a text message you hesitate to send for hours. You finally find the courage to say one simple sentence. That hurt me. And for a brief second, you hope they'll pause. You hope they'll reflect. You hope they'll soften. But they don't. Instead, the air changes. Their face hardens. Their tone sharpens. And suddenly, you're no longer sharing a feeling. You're on trial. They cross-examine your words. They dissect your tone. They rewrite the sequence of events. What you meant becomes irrelevant. What you felt becomes suspicious. And somehow, impossibly, you are now the problem. If you've ever been told you're too sensitive right after being pushed to your emotional breaking point, this video is for you. Because according to behavioral researchers and clinicians, you are making one critical mistake. A mistake almost every empathetic person makes. You are walking into these conversations believing you are dealing with a mutual conflict. Two people, two perspectives, one misunderstanding. But that is not what this is. This is not a balanced disagreement. This is what experts call an asymmetrical conflict. You are playing one game. They are playing a completely different one. You are playing the game of connection. You want understanding. You want resolution. You want emotional safety. They are playing the game of control. And the moment you truly understand that distinction, everything changes. Because the strategies that work in healthy relationships completely fail here. Most empathetic people respond the same way. They try harder. They explain more clearly. They bring logic. They bring context. They bring compassion. They bring love. You think you're bringing clarity, but to them, you're bringing fuel. Every explanation is another lever they can pull. Every emotional response is proof they still have access to you. Every long message confirms that they are still inside your nervous system. So today, we are not talking about fixing them. We are not talking about winning arguments. We are installing a new operating system. One based on behavioral psychology, not wishful thinking. And this system is built on just two words: detachment, strategy. Detachment means you stop feeding the dynamic with your emotional energy. Strategy means you stop improvising under pressure and start using a system. Because high conflict people don't respond to sincerity. They respond to patterns. Let's start with the foundation. You need to understand what toxic personalities actually run on. They run on supply. Your anger, your tears, your confusion, your explanations, your paragraphs of text written at midnight. That is supply. Think of it like conditioning. They provoke you. You react. They receive a psychological reward, control, validation, dopamine. The cycle reinforces itself. Every reaction teaches them this works. So if you want the behavior to stop, the reward has to stop. This is where the first tool comes in. It's called the gray rock method. The idea is brutally simple. You become emotionally uninteresting, flat, neutral, predictable, not because you're weak, but because you're strategic. This method is based on a behavioral principle called extinction. When a behavior is no longer rewarded, it escalates briefly and then fades. You are not trying to win the interaction. You are trying to starve it. Here's what this looks like in real life. You're so dramatic. You say, okay. They say, everyone agrees you're unstable. You say, I hear you. They demand, explain yourself right now. You say, I'm not discussing that. No justification, no defense, no emotional hook. You're not cold, you're closed. And that distinction matters. But I need to warn you about something important. When you first do this, it will feel like it's not working. In fact, it will feel like it's making things worse. Clinicians call this an extinction burst. Think about a vending machine. You press the button, Nothing comes out. You don't walk away. You press it again. Harder. You shake the machine. You hit it. That's what happens when you stop reacting. They escalate. They provoke harder. They guilt deeper. They may suddenly become cruel or suddenly become sweet. This is not failure. This is proof the system is breaking. And this is the most dangerous moment. Because if you react now, you teach them something critical. That if I push hard enough, I still get access. So you hold the line, not emotionally, strategically. Now, gray rock isn't always practical. If you have to co-parent, if you work with them, if there are legal or professional optics involved, total emotional silence can be weaponized against you. That's where the next variation comes in. When total emotional silence isn't an option, you don't abandon strategy, you refine it. This is where yellow rock comes in. Yellow rock is not weakness, it is camouflage. It looks warm on the surface, but it carries no emotional charge underneath. You stay polite, you stay factual, you stay brief, but you give them nothing they can metabolize. Yellow rock was developed specifically for high conflict environments where other people are watching, bosses, judges, co-workers, family members. Because manipulators don't just want control over you, they want control over the narrative. They want to provoke you into reacting, then show your reaction to outsiders as proof that you are the problem. Yellow rock collapses that strategy. Here's how it works in real life. They send an email that says, "You're selfish, unreliable, and you've never cared about this team." Your old instinct would be to defend yourself, to explain your workload, your intentions, your sacrifices. That instinct is understandable, and it is exactly what traps you. A yellow rock response looks like this. "Hi, thanks for the message. The project deadline is Tuesday at 3 p.m. Please confirm you received the updated files. Best regards." Notice what didn't happen. You didn't respond to the insult. You didn't correct the accusation. You didn't clarify your character. You responded only to logistics. On paper, you look calm, professional, cooperative. Energetically, they got nothing. This is the power of yellow rock. It protects you externally and internally. Now, let's talk about the situations where even gray rock and yellow rock feel too harsh. What if they're your parents? What if they're family you can't cut off without tearing yourself apart? This is where we use compassionate detachment. Compassionate detachment does not mean emotional openness. It means emotional boundaries with empathy. I want you to imagine something very specific. Visualize a glass wall between you and them. You can see them. You can hear them. But their emotional energy hits the glass and slides down. It does not enter your body. It does not reach your nervous system. This visualization is not symbolic. It's neurological. Because when you stop internalizing their emotions, your brain shifts modes. And here's the cognitive pivot that changes everything. Instead of asking, "Why are they doing this to me?" ask, "What must it feel like to live inside a mind that needs this much control?" This does something powerful. It moves your brain out of the default mode network, the system that personalizes everything, and into the task positive network, which observes and analyzes. You stop being the target. You become the witness. But listen carefully. This perspective is not an invitation to save them, especially for those of you who are highly empathetic, intuitive, or emotionally attuned. This is where your biggest danger lies. Your savior reflex. The belief that if you love them enough, explain clearly enough, stay patient long enough, they'll finally see you. They won't, because this is not an emotional deficit. It's a systems problem. You cannot love a machine into growing a conscience, and you cannot fix broken circuitry with empathy. The glass wall exists for two reasons: to stop their attacks and to stop your over-giving. Now let's talk about the trap that almost every empathetic person falls into. It has a name: JADE, justify, argue, defend, explain. When someone misrepresents you, your instinct is to clarify. But with high conflict personalities, explanations are not clarity, they are ammunition. The moment you say, I didn't mean it that way. I was just tired. I worked a double shift. You've lost, because now they have your intentions to question, your schedule to criticize, your credibility to undermine. So from today on, you install a firewall. You do not JADE. Instead, you use a protocol designed specifically for high conflict interactions. It's called BIFF, brief, informative, friendly, firm. Here's what that looks like. They text, I can't believe you did that. You're disgusting. A BIFF response, hi, I'm not discussing this over text. If you have a logistical question about the schedule, let me know. Thanks. Short, neutral, closed, no hooks, no debate, no emotional entry point. It forces the conversation to do one of two things: become productive or die. And finally, we need to protect the most important thing you have, your reality. The most dangerous weapon high conflict people use is not anger. It's gaslighting. They rewrite history so convincingly that you start questioning your own memory. So you need an external anchor. You need to become a documentarian. After interactions, take 60 seconds. Write down facts only. Date, time, exact words, not how you felt, what was said. Because when they say, I never said that, you don't argue, you check the record. And for those of you who are highly sensitive, intuitive, or deeply embodied, you have one more tool: somatic validation. Gaslighting works because their words can sound reasonable, even loving, but your body knows before your mind does. If their voice is calm but your chest tightens, if they sound caring but your stomach drops, if you feel sudden exhaustion after interacting with them, trust that your nervous system detects threat patterns faster than language. When words and body signals don't match, always trust the body. Dealing with a high conflict person is not about winning. You will never win the argument. It's about reclaiming the mental real estate they've occupied for too long. Gray rock detaches you from their need for supply. BIFF detaches you from their chaos. Documentation detaches you from their distorted reality. And slowly, quietly, something incredible happens. You start seeing yourself clearly again. Your confidence returns. Your nervous system settles. Your clarity sharpens. And I know this is easy to understand intellectually, but hard to execute under pressure. That's why preparation matters. That's why scripting matters. That's why I created a free resource called the Defense Protocol. Inside it, you'll find a simple scripting system based on implementation intentions. If they do X, I will say Y. This isn't motivational, it's neurological. Because when you pre-decide your responses, your brain doesn't panic, it executes. Write it down, practice it, rehearse it. Science shows mental rehearsal reduces stress responses dramatically. Make the decision now, so you don't have to think when the moment comes. The link is in the description. If this video brought you even a small sense of relief, I'm glad you're here. If you have a story to share or a topic you want covered next, leave it in the comments. Naming your experience is the first step to escaping it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.